It's no mystery. It's no mystery who just bombed out the bathroom across the hall. That's all I have to say. Sin in podcasting. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I guess I'll take over.
Turns out Mike's busy, preoccupied, chewing his gum.
Pringles. Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
I do.
The excitement of walking down the aisles, browsing the names in the artwork, and finally picking out the movie you're going to take home with you.
Oh.
Sure, it's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your house. But there's something truly special about making that trip, picking a movie out by hand, and using your detective prowess to figure out what family member is responsible for the blockbuster late fees that you just had to pay.
Sons of bitches.
On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes who I know so well that I'll be able to predict their most punchable face later on in the show. Shaun Pryor and AJ Vance, how the heck are ya?
I'm good.
I think you can, probably.
No.
I think you might get it. You might get it.
Not many characters to choose from, so I feel like I can narrow it down.
Here's the thing. That was always the worst walking in there, and like you found the video game and the movie that you were going to have for like your little weekend, and then you find out that your older brother actually just still has like this random movie, probably South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, that hasn't been returned in a month and a half, and you're stuck and responsible for paying a late fee, or at least a portion of it, when you have the exact money you need to rent what you want.
It's a gamble, though, because sometimes you accidentally had the late fee and like someone else is going to pay for it.
I'd still blame someone else.
It's no mystery. It's no mystery who just bombed out the bathroom across the hall. That's all I have to say.
Wait, are we talking about Clue?
What?
Get a clue.
Great intro to the show, you guys.
I think it's the best one.
On today's episode, we discuss... Is this it?
We're done.
Is this it for it? Like, is this our last episode?
We finally just lost it.
It just fell apart before our very eyes.
To everyone that's been here all million episodes, like it's nice for you to see this moment. For somebody just tuning in today, just bear with us. Okay?
It gets so much better.
It gets so much better. Okay.
Don't promise anything, guys.
Listen, on today's episode, we discuss the first movie ever made that was based on a board game. Tim Curry's favorite movie he's ever starred in, a movie that is the true definition of a cult classic. We're, of course, talking about 1985's Clue. Yeah.
Well, dang it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with The Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy wherever you are in the world. Take it away, boys.
Thank you.
Well, if you are new to this podcast, we're going to be reviewing this movie with a modern eye, but in order to do that properly, we must first discuss it with pure 1985 nostalgia. AJ, start with you. Tell us the first time you saw this movie, what your nostalgic rating is.
What was, let's see, Thursday. Thursday was when I first saw this movie.
Let's see, what year was it?
What year
Thursday.
It was Thursday.
First time you ever saw this?
First time I ever saw this. In fact, I actually avoided this on purpose because I had such a fond memory of playing the board game as a kid that I was like, a movie about this is probably going to be terrible, so I don't even want to bother watching it. So I never watched it. I put off watching it. And here we are. That's it, man.
So
NA.
AJ's a big NA. I'm the same as you.
Oh,
However, slightly different. I never played the board game.
Oh.
So I'm like, why would I ever watch a movie about a game that I've never played.
Okay.
That sounds stupid.
It was, for some reason, it's one of the few board games that we bought when I was a kid, and we played. It was like a newer version, but it was like we played it all the time. I loved the game.
Well,
that's crazy.
Didn't that game come out in like the 40s?
Oh yeah,
something like that.
It's been around forever. But yeah,
That's
Shaun, you added it to your Patreon list. This was a Patreon vote. I'm assuming you've seen this movie.
Well, yeah, no, I was a huge fan of the game. Like me and my family played it like literally all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I heard like there was a movie of it, like my dad and my mom were just like, "Oh, there's a movie of that." I'm like, "Great, let's do that." And so watching it, and I just fell in love with Tim Curry at the time. And so that's beginning A. And that's not even true.
Oh, no, you did not.
Beginning B is actually the truth, and I've never seen this movie.
You can't tell me this.
We can't have a full-blown, all three of us have never seen it.
Come on. Come on.
Why did you
put it on your list?
Because I've wanted to watch it for so long, and I wanted the best excuse, and the best excuse is our lovely patrons.
That's a great point.
They need to choose the movie. Like a lot of those other movies on that list I have seen, but Clue, I'm kind of pulling for it because it'd be fun to do it on the show. And
What
so
a crazy
That's
never
thing.
happened.
That is the movie that everybody picked, though.
Okay, so here's what we do. So once a month, we let our top tier Patreon members vote on a movie. We usually just kind of curate a little list. This was Shaun's choice. He threw 5 movies up there. This Clue got 54% of the vote, followed by Big Trouble in Little China at 35%.
Almost.
Followed by Howard the Duck at 7, Commando at 4, and Maximum Overdrive at 1.
Unreal.
I thought for a fact Big Trouble in Little China was going to run away with
I thought
this.
so too.
I thought it was going to be that or Maximum Overdrive, which was opposite.
We've gotten Big Trouble requested so many times, and I thought that was gonna hit
You
it.
guys should understand that movie is very close on the horizon. I mean, like we thought it was going to win this, it didn't. So you're going to get Clue, and then probably Shaun's next choice, AJ's next choice.
I'm just gonna redo that list again with not including Clue. I'll just pick another movie.
Well,
that you haven't seen.
This is an all-time first for us. All three have never seen this movie, but we do have an executive producer, our boy David Gould. He has seen this.
Oh, thank goodness.
His nostalgic review, he says, the board game Clue was one of my favorites growing up. It could be for the little figurine weapons, the exceptionally 70s styling of the game board, the create your own story, or it could be for the fact that mustache on the Colonel Mustard card. The mustache on the Colonel Mustard card. Side note, how many of us learned the proper spelling of Colonel because of this game?
Colonel.
Colonel.
Where's the R? It's silent.
Kernal.
I don't know. My mom said I have colonel here, so.
This game ended up being fun and educational in that regard. But as for the movie, it was one that I found on basic cable during my afternoon after homeschooling channel surfing. Clicking over to this movie, I was excited to see it as I was such a lover of the game, and unfortunately, I didn't get it. It was too off the wall, chaotic, and not aligned with the tales I had created so many times before playing the game. Because of this, I can conclude that a menacing Tim Curry with a remote in my parents' very poorly decorated living room, this movie would be a 4.72 nostalgic.
Slap.
So we're just going to leave it as it is. One vote does not qualify to jump into our ranks.
All right.
Okay.
So we're going to strip away David's nostalgia, and we're going to dissect this with a modern eye. First, we got to talk about the pertinent, important details of this movie. Shaun, that's your job, man.
Produced by Queen. Deborah Hill also worked with John Carpenter a lot. Did Halloween. Did Big Trouble, I think, and The Fog.
That's her first name.
Queen Deborah.
Queen
Deborah Hill. Yep.
She from Queens.
Toby.
All right.
Toby.
Toby Wong. Toby.
Why is this our best episode yet?
It's going to be bad.
It just continues to be the best.
Toby Hooper. Toby Wong.
That's from last week.
All right.
Story by Jonathan Lynn and John Landis. Screenplay by Jonathan Lynn. Cinematography by Victor J. Kemper. Hey, he also did a movie called Cohen and Tate, which is actually really good. It's got Roy Scheider in it. It's really good. What?
Roy Schneider?
Is that another recommendation that you haven't seen, Shaun?
No, it is. I love that movie, and it's a good one. Beethoven, Tommy Boy, Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg, Jingle All the Way, and the prestigious Bring It On, All or Nothing.
Okay.
Edited by Richard Batherton and Richard Haynes. Music by John Morris. Directed by John Lynn. Cast: Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Leslie Ann Warren leaving, Bill Henderson, and Howard Hessman leaving. John Landis was developing.
All they do is laugh.
John Landis was developing.
Shut up and just talk already.
Developing and writing the script for Clue, but found himself leaning hard on the Agatha Christie-esque whodunit aspect and getting stuck on actual mystery parts. Landis employed help from Jonathan Lynn to co-write along with Landis, and the script was completed. Landis was going to direct Clue, but was busy developing Spies Like Us at the time, and so he suggested to Lynn that he direct, and Lynn jumped at the opportunity. Most of the actors cast were all original choices except for Wadsworth, who the production was eyeing Leonard Rossiter and Rowan Atkinson. Rowan Atkinson was more British comedy at the time. He was more known in the UK than US. So they opted for Tim Curry.
That must be before Mr. Bean and stuff?
I think so.
Yeah.
Unless, it must have been just on the cusp
right
of all
there.
that.
Yeah.
For Miss Scarlet, the first choice was Carrie Fisher, actually.
Wasn't it because of like she was in drug rehab or something like that?
Yeah, she was like,
She took the part.
Yeah,
but it
she
was
was
like, never mind. I
headed
can't.
into rehab.
Sorry, man.
I can't do Clue. Sorry.
Sorry, I double booked.
I can't do your board game movie.
What movie are you doing? Drug rehab. Oh.
Oh, no.
That's very sad.
No, it is.
Clue was filmed mostly on sound stages at Paramount Pictures, and the exteriors were all filmed at a mansion in South Pasadena, California, which has since burned down. While filming, the set was very jovial, and with such great performers, it was almost too jovial, with the actors joking around on set and having a lot of fun with the material, although improvisation was not encouraged. The film was released on December 13th, 1985, and did a pretty and had a pretty peculiar release. When released, every third or fourth theater had a different ending, as we see in the DVD and streaming releases, but this sort of backfired because audiences felt tricked out of a full movie. On a budget of $15 million, the film only made $14.6 million. So yeah, I mean, at the time, it was like the idea was to do this gimmick of having different endings and different screenings you go to try and get people to go again and see a different ending maybe.
It seems genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you also could be like, I get it. I see why that didn't go
You're
well.
not seeing anything different until the end, though. You know, it's like, but it's the same movie. It's just the ending is going to be, back then I would be like, oh, I'm all in. I will go see it again,
Yeah.
you know, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's just, it's interesting to me. I wonder if the general, because this movie really truly has become a cult classic, but it failed so miserably at the box office that you wonder if maybe that's kind of the experience we had, as people are just like, board game movie? Like, I don't, you wonder if that also had something to do with it too.
Yeah, it's a dedicated fan base already, and like I say, I avoided it on purpose when I found out that it existed. The movie existed, and if I was able to see it in the theater, and then you find out that there was a whole nother ending that somebody else saw, or like you get together with your buddy, you're like, dude, the ending was crazy, right?
Yeah, they all did it.
Oh my god!
Wait,
well,
what?
no, it was just
No,
it was Miss Scarlet.
no. What?
Wait a second. Like, that's what happens?
True, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess you're not, like, privy to it.
Right.
You know, that'd be really confusing.
Well, and it'd be like, I'm trying to think of a board game that I did play as a kid, like Mousetrap.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a Mousetrap movie, I'd be like, not going to see that.
Yeah.
Like, just board games. It's just a board game. Like,
Yeah.
why would that be a good movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just...
Guess
I don't know.
who?
Yeah.
Like, oh, guess who?
Oh,
the movie?
Have you guys seen the new Monopoly movie? Yeah, it's just too long.
That's just the Marvel Cinematic Universe right there.
Never ending.
Well, have they made any other movies about board games like since? Is Battleship technically about
Yes,
the board game?
yes.
Is it really?
I mean, I think it's, like, produced by Hasbro and shit, yeah.
Yeah, it has been. God.
Hey, hey, Rihanna's in that, all right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, speaking of which, no.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, big game.
Oh, so that's when her career is planned to end.
Yes.
I got it.
Should we talk about the movie Clue?
Oh, we've never seen it.
Never.
Go ahead, Shaun.
No, that's it.
Oh, that's it.
That is it.
Well, My friends, other than sharing this podcast to your friends, follow us on social media platforms, buy merch, check us out at confusedbreakfast.com. Like we said, our Patreon community is one of those places you can vote on movies like this, but you can also join our private Discord channel by being a top tier member, and you get bonus audio content. The last couple, we do weekly conversations that you guys get to listen to. Last couple weeks, we had a continued conversation about Goodfellas, where we also broke down some more of like our favorite Scorsese movies. Then after Out Cold, we talked about our experiences on the slopes. Got off the rails a little bit, talking about a confused breakfast cruise,
Hitting the Nar, dude.
hitting the Nar and Rado. So I think you guys will enjoy our conversations if you like our humor, you like hearing us talk. Go check us out at patreon.com/confusedbreakfast.
Thank you guys who have given and continue to give. Thank you so much.
Up
Do this
next,
without you.
Up next, our boy AJ did the research. He tells us ratings and reviews from critics and fans alike. What do you got, man?
There's blood everywhere. With the tomato meter.
Gross.
68% on the tomato meter.
Okay.
68%.
That's critics.
That's critics.
Of every movie we've done so far, 68% ties it with American Psycho and Dumb and Dumber, critically.
Huh.
Just for reference, Wedding Singer 69, Point Break 67.
Yeah, 69.
This is kind of where, yeah.
68% to me seems like a very, very like mediocre, like middle of the pack. That's like the sevens on IMDb.
Yeah.
86% for fans and
see.
audiences on IMDb, and a 7.2.
Ooh, so
Wow.
we're talking 0.2 higher than the dreaded 7?
Yeah.
That is a really good movie.
Yeah.
In theory.
Wow, this is phenomenal.
That's a 0.1 better than Coming to America.
It is. That is tied on our list of every movie we've done with Speed, GoldenEye, Tremors, Major League, and Lost Boys.
That is like the best company for this movie.
Right?
That is dead on.
It kind of is. It wasn't great, but it was actually really great.
I mean,
Like,
we'll get there, but
yeah. So Variety gave this an 80 out of 100.
all right.
If you're doing the math, that's 800 out of 1,000.
Right.
Clue is campy, high-styled escapism. In a short 87 minutes that just zip by, the well-known board game's one-dimensional card figures like Professor Plum and others become multi-dimensional personalities with enough wit, neurose, and motives to intrigue even the most adept whodunit solver.
That's really nice.
It's really nice of them to say
I
that.
like that. That's good.
Super nice of you. Do you guys want Los Angeles or New York? You guys tell me, because they both gave it a 40.
We were in Queens last week. Let's go to Los Angeles.
City of Angels, you got it. Kevin Thomas said, inspired by the Parker Brothers board game of the same name, Clue is more frenetic than funny, more strained than suspenseful or scary. In fact, it's not the least bit scary or suspenseful, but instead quickly grows tedious. The more you struggle to keep track of the constantly multiplying plot developments, the harder it gets to care who did it.
Can we go to New York instead? Can we do that?
Rewind the tape.
Nope, you don't get New York anymore.
Alrighty, all right.
Okay.
Sorry,
I like
guys.
this game. I understand.
Yeah, you gotta commit. So, somebody called this their favorite comedy. This is just a 10 out of 10. My favorite comedy, Thalassa Fisher. Okay. I have seen Clue repeatedly. Nice. I've seen Clue repeatedly since I was a child in middle school, and some of the physical comedy, along with the excellent timing, still gets a laugh out of me. Full of memorable one-liners and set in arguably the most epic historical house ever filmed in a 20th century mystery. Okay.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. They love this movie.
It's 100 out of 100 for you guys following along at home.
Listen, this is a 10 out of 10. This is the best movie I've ever seen.
It's the best movie.
It's
riveting.
It's in a house.
Keeps you in the best part of this, the house.
Oh.
It's like a 10th character, really.
You're right. You're right. 2 out of 10. Just like the board game, confusing, said Friedenberg David. And he starts his full analysis just in the middle of it, and this is his full analysis. And too long. That's why you never finished a game back then, don't you?
What?
Don't you what?
I think he was thinking about Monopoly or something, because if you didn't finish a game of Clue, like you didn't have time to start the game in the first place.
You shouldn't have started the game to start with.
You need to commit you need to commit at least 30 minutes.
Oh, you mean there's 3 things you're gonna? God, there's
What?
too long.
Wait, I gotta write shit down?
It's too confusing. Well, there's so many pieces and parts to this.
Why can't we play Volcano Island?
I don't.
Fireball Island.
Why can't we play the Crocodile Dundee board game?
Ooh, hungry hippos.
What? If you want a real whodunit, then just play Who's There or whatever.
Guess who?
Guess who?
Who's there? Oh yeah, play that game. Who's there?
Yeah, let's just play Guess Who. Who's there? 2 out of 10, guys. Last one. Let's just get this over with. 2 out of 10. Jay Thies called this a non-com.
Whoa. Awesome.
Got him.
I like that a lot.
More like non-com.
Even though his play is on om-com and
Yes.
this is not a rom-com.
Not at all.
Gotcha.
The initial premise is fine. That a group of people meeting in an old, large mansion. The problem is the movie was supposed to be a comedy, and the writer and director don't really know how to make a comedy. The attempts at humor mostly misfire and are either boring or painful to watch.
That's just like your opinion, man.
It's supposed to be campy. That's why, like, the very first one I read, it's like a clinic in campiness.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be that way. And then you just have other people like this who are like, you can totally tell he didn't poke him in the eye right there.
He didn't really slap that lady.
Oh, man, he didn't stomp his foot. It's like, dude, it's just like, it's Three Stooges. Just let it happen for 2 seconds.
Just let it happen.
Please.
Jesus.
Good Lord. This is why you shouldn't have critical reviews of some movies, probably.
That's very
Not
true.
even we can take it seriously, guys. Anyways, that's all I got, guys.
Well, before we dissect this movie scene by scene, we got to
That's me.
shout out our amazing sponsor, NordVPN. They are doing big things in the world, and they are helping all of us and all of you keep your information private. We're always on the Wi-Fi. We're always in public hotspots. We're always logged into this website and using this app. And there's so much danger in doing that. Luckily, NordVPN has the tools we all need. They're providing a service that protects your internet connection and privacy online. It creates an encrypted tunnel for your data and protects your online identity by hiding your IP address and masking your virtual location. I've been loving this service. I've been using it. We've talked about it a lot, about how you can use it to access certain shows that are on streaming platforms are not available in the United States. But they are available in France or Australia or
even,
Germany.
Even Netflix. Like maybe Clue isn't available on Netflix in the United States, but it is in like France or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can actually see something that you can't see in America by changing your IP location using NordVPN. I told you a couple weeks ago how I was able to watch Blues hockey. Because I was able to change my location and actually get access to that. So it's amazing. Not only are they helping you access blocked websites, but you're seeing all this other streaming services, avoiding unlawful government surveillance, and so much more. We think you're going to love it. You have to try NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/breakfast. That is the link you go to, and that will get you tons more info and a free bonus brought to you by your boys at Confused Breakfast. And it's completely risk-free, 30-day money-back guarantee. So, like, try it. If you're like, oh, this is dumb, I don't like it,
Yeah.
you can get rid of it.
Easy.
But, I mean, I've been like 8 months now, so I love it. I don't plan on ever getting rid of it. We're happy to have those guys sponsoring us. I mean, that is a direct way to, if you go check their products out and we're talking about them, then that directly reflects on us and makes us look great. So I think that's one of the coolest things you can do, and you get something in return. Go check them out, nordvpn.com/breakfast.
You're welcome.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great slogan.
Nord welcome.
NordVPN. You're welcome.
Well, boys, let's take this unmarked, vague letter that we got in the mail and trust that it's on the up and up. Not only will we say yes, but we can make the long drive to a strange house in the middle of nowhere and still find the courage to go inside. Nothing weird's going to happen, is it?
Nothing weird.
Here we go. So in 1954, 6 strangers are invited to a dinner party at Hill House. When they arrive, they are met by a butler named Wadsworth, and they are served by a maid named Yvette and a cook named Mrs. Ho. During dinner, a 7th guest, Mr. Body, arrives. Wadsworth reveals that Mr. Body has been blackmailing the other guests and that the group is here to confront him and turn him over to the police.
Okay. Can you imagine pitching this movie today? Just like, I want to make a movie about a board game. Board is in the title. Like, I know it's a different spelling, but
How have I gone 4 years of my life and never heard that joke? Because I hate games. My wife's always trying to get me to play games, and that's going to be my new thing I say to her.
You have to have a group of people around. Like AJ and his wife and his son came over and we played board games and it was a good time, you know. But like, it's not something I like gravitate to. So like, can we talk about the board game in itself just real quick?
Yeah.
Do you guys like the board game? I'm never good at it. I can never figure it out. My fiance is just like, I'm a detective. I got this. She's just like, she's Clouseau.
I love it. I love the game.
You do?
Like, yeah. I wish we could have played it in preparation for this episode, to be completely honest. But I knew it wouldn't work. We're just too busy, you know? So getting together outside of this is pretty tough for us. But to be able to play it, I think would have been awesome.
Yeah, that'd have been fun.
Yeah.
Maybe when we get moved into our new set, we'll do a special Patreon video where
That'd be fun.
we'll do it on our Discord where we play Clue.
We'll have a top-down camera that you can see the board game, the board at all times.
That's a great thing.
Yes.
I never played the game, so again, I knew
Okay.
it's pop culture. Everyone knows Clue.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows that it's like who done it? Was it and there's murder mystery dinners all over the world. You know, like that's a thing that people go to. So I knew what this was about, but I found myself just being like, oh, fine, fucking Clue. Like, well, we'll get it over with. And like as this movie went on, I was completely into it, like from the start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I was just like, like it got whatever it meant to do. It got me like, and I was ready to roll. I didn't need to know anything about the game. Never played the game. I didn't care. I was ready to roll.
Do you think it's maybe because the Hill House vibes?
Well, let me ask you this. So they said something about how the Hill House was named Hill House after the director, right? Or what would you say?
Jonathan Lynn? No, Hill House is. I think they based that off of like the Hill House series, like House on Haunted Hill and everything.
No, who's the you just said?
Oh, Deborah Hill.
Deborah Hill. I heard that they actually that's just the name they came up for the hill.
Oh,
for the house. It's just
like
based
that
off
too.
of that. But I tried to think about how that could possibly have some implications with like Hill House.
Yeah.
And yeah, something about every time you see something like this in a movie or a film, that first establishing shot where you turn a corner and it's there, I'm ready.
Thunder
and lightning. I'm ready. Like, is this a fall, like Halloween season movie?
I think kind of.
I think you could definitely get that.
It's like the October 1st movie you watch, right?
Yes.
Like to start your season, like nice and easy, get in there.
Well, you know, also too, it's like The Thing. It's a contained like thriller. It is a whodunit, Agatha Christie kind of style. You know, I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for like the contained, like one of us is not who they say they are. You know, like it's The Thing.
The campiness, I think, is what really plays into that because it feels like the time they're trying to portray. You know, like the 50s or like the mid 50s and stuff. It kind of has this vibe even on camera, and it's grainy and it's dark and the lightning strikes and all that good stuff. You know, it adds to like a borderline black and white, almost like what Young Frankenstein tries to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's like kind of the vibes I get out of it, and I really do like that about it. Have you guys ever done like a murder mystery dinner party thing?
I kind of want to now.
I've done one, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
Like drinks involved and shit too, right? Or
Yeah. Like you basically hang out, and then all of a sudden,
to have fun.
Yeah, come on, man. Please.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, you don't need to drink to have fun. As I'm drinking whiskey.
we all go.
No, you don't need to drink to have fun. You need to drink to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really what it comes down
Pick
to.
the hell of it is quit drinking.
We do not have fun doing this ever. It's completely just work.
But it was a lot of fun, and it's like it starts. What I did, it just started out as a dinner party, essentially, like of some
Like
friends,
this did.
and you were given kind of a note of who you are and everything. People had their own start, right? But then all of a sudden, something happens in the middle of this, or like before or after dinner, or like once dinner's done, a knock on the door.
And it
then
starts the story, and then you guys just go with it.
Yeah. And you just have to continue on and try to figure it out.
I like it.
And it's a lot of fun. And it kind of, the one that I attended was kind of like this, that you're constantly trying to guess who it could have been. There's a lot of red herrings, like communism, that you have to kind of fight with, right? So it's a lot of fun. And I just thought back to that time I did that and saw this. I was kind of immediately in. I was like, I'm on for this ride. And then you get Tim Curry, and I'm definitely in.
That's the thing, man. I think this is the best thing that I've seen him in. And I know that it's his favorite thing that he's done.
It's him personally saying this is his favorite role or film he's been a part of.
I couldn't agree anymore. Like, because I think every movie that he's in, like he made Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2.
Yeah,
to me,
totally.
Like that, you watch Home Alone 2 because Tim Curry's in that movie. that movie is different than Home Alone because Tim Curry's in that movie. And I think he's just uproarious and vibrant and vivacious. Like the whole movie is very, very kinetic.
Yeah.
Like very fast. And I love like the quick dialogue. I know Jonathan Lynn had the cast watch His Girl Friday, which has that snappy dialogue, kind of like Kevin Smith-ish.
Yeah, yes.
It has that snappy dialogue, and so does this movie. It moves so fast.
It does. It's like it reads and goes like a play.
Yeah.
And I would love to the whole time I was just sitting there thinking, I wish I could watch this on a stage.
Yeah.
With this exact same cast, the set, everything. Somehow I wish I could watch this on a stage.
Kind of watch it happen.
100%.
You were talking about the feel of it. I didn't catch the feel of the 1950s it still felt 80s to me in a weird way. But the one way that I really did feel that this was from the 50s was the glimpse into the old days of where if you pick up a woman on the side of the road, then you are automatically dating.
Oh yes,
you were allowed to grab her ass and stuff. Like, well, I picked her up from the side of the road, so now
she's mine now.
She's mine now.
I saved her life.
Yeah.
So.
That's where I got the 50s vibe more so than the lighting and the costumes.
Owning
and stuff.
another human being.
Yes,
Yeah,
just being able to
yeah.
just grab her ass just because you.
Well, you just saved her ass, so now that ass is yours.
Come on now.
That ass is.
She didn't have any grass or cash. You know? What are we doing here?
Did you guys have to look up if Butler was short for Buttle?
No,
To Buttle.
It is truth.
I
It
buttle.
is like he goes, well, what's a butler do? I buttle.
I buttle.
Yeah, like that's beautiful dialect. This whole movie.
The Maid. I just saw The Maid, and I'm like, oh my god. But also, she is Mrs. Vanderhoff in Wayne's World.
Colleen Camp.
Really?
Yeah.
Might I just add, your wife is a stone cold babe.
And she is. Holy
Whoa.
shit.
Her tits alone make this PG-13.
Yeah.
Like this. How is this movie PG?
Yeah. I don't know.
That might be the greatest rack in screen history.
It's got. And speaking of Young Frankenstein, it'll have competition with Terry Garr in Young Frankenstein. For
I'm
me.
talking no nipple rack.
Right.
On
Yeah.
do we think so? Is this the number one best set?
It's
Terry Garr made me heterosexual, so it's hard to say. This is definitely second for me.
This is 2 bowls of Jello, just in lacy bowls. It's just that's all you can see is just this dancing thing. They've got a mind of their own, and you're right. They probably tipped this over the edge into PG-13.
On top of that, she's such a great actress too. She's
she is.
She's plays a part really well.
Her personality is just
Come on, guys.
just dancing right along with it.
Well, I'm sure you
With
guys
them.
you guys read that she was not Colleen Camp was not the first choice. I mean, there was they were throwing around names like Demi Moore, Madonna was all supposed to play this part, but she showed up in the French maid outfit
Right on.
to her audition, and I guess somebody said Jonathan Lynn basically said there was no avoiding it.
Yeah.
That was his quote. Was like, you're it. That's
Literally
it.
and figuratively.
Yeah.
And I like they do play on that quite a bit through the movie where those things are like, I mean, the camera's right there,
Yeah.
and their faces are right there, and that is just what
They
it
know
is.
what they got. They got to put something on screen.
And it's also important to note that it's definitely on purpose to draw your attention away.
Yeah.
You know, so that way you have to second guess yourself throughout
Yes.
this whole movie about who was where and who did this and who had this
because we're
item.
too busy watching
'Cause-
that.
Correct. You know.
And then we get Madeline Kahn. Goddamn, guys! Like I think
I know.
we talk about scene stealing people, and Madeline Kahn is like young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
She's
This is
just
Mrs. White,
White.
right?
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
just incredible. I mean, everyone's incredible in this. It's hard to pick one out, but they all have their moment. But Madeline Kahn steals it every time for me.
there's a cast like this. It's really hard not to want to watch everybody.
Mhm.
You know, almost all the time. Like, and since I figured it was a whodunit, there were times that I was kind of winding back to watch different people in the scene, and everyone is great when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's the timing of this and the way that it is put together. Again, it just takes me right back to just watching this as a stage show, play, production, as they're sitting down in the chairs or like as they're meeting each other and they're snapping that dialogue back and forth. It's incredible. They all do so well at it. But and again, not to outdo the campiness
Yes,
that is supposed to be here.
It's supposed to be. You're supposed to not know that it is.
Yeah.
Like, but it is.
Right. It's totally
Subconscious campiness is like the perfect way to get it done.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like McKean gets there and he's like, "Sit." It's like, "Oh, sorry, the dog," but
Yeah.
he actually sits.
It's kind of on par with. I'm trying to think of. It is really on par with like a lot of Mel Brooks or like
Definitely.
Zucker Brothers and that type of dialogue that they just want to wash over.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's great.
McKean's Mr. Green might be, other than Tim Curry's performance, it might be my next favorite.
I think so.
His like clumsiness, how many times he just and like water spills all over the place. Like he's really good in this. From the minute he's on, they're all. I mean, don't get me wrong, every single one of them are great, but he might be my next favorite performance if you're ranking them.
Yeah,
Michael McKean can be a scene stealer for sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
What was the thing that women did back in the day? They had like the mosquito net down on their face with like a fish net kind of thing. Was that like
That Mrs. White was wearing?
Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Well, I think it's weird that you're calling that out because our queen in Beetlejuice wears it in her first scene.
it's true. I mean,
You know?
I mean, it's definitely sexy.
It's something.
She's in mourning.
She's
still.
in mourning.
Oh, do you think so?
I think it's that.
Oh.
Wait, really?
That her husband died more recently.
She came straight from the funeral.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have time to change.
I just.
That's a good. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. She didn't have it. Also, I think the net helps catch the tears of mourning. That's what the whole thing was. But yeah, I like. I've got to mention Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and in maybe his most non-Christopher Lloyd
Yeah.
performance ever.
It
Am I-
sort of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah.
That the thinking this came out the same year as Back to the Future, that he played
Exactly.
his biggest, iconic, best role. All of a sudden, he's like a woman,
A womanizing nerd.
professor.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of weird.
Yeah.
But he's great and he's fantastic in it.
Does a great job.
I
Serves
could
it very
have
well.
I could have seen someone else maybe in that role,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
it wouldn't have messed anything up for me.
And I think it's the only reason it like damages the image of him doing that is because of everything else
Yes.
we've seen already, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like the Mrs. Peacock, kind of like her speech. She's like, and the soup is really good too. And then this, well, I'll take advantage and start talking. And everyone's just like,
Yeah.
we all know someone like that. Like,
Yes.
you've met someone in your life that just cannot stop talking.
absolutely.
They just have to avoid silence at all costs. Like no one, this person just can't have silence. They can't live in silence. They can't be comfortable in it, and they will fight tooth and nail to get out of silence.
That's where I like though all these alternate endings. I do always find a little bit of mistrust in someone that can't just sit back and just be like.
Yeah.
100%.
So it works with what ending number 1 maybe or number 2 whatever.
I think it was number 2.
1 or 2 wherever she was the one that sort of works because she's there going. is this about the thing that I did?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh shit, let's find out what everybody's doing here.
Oh, I didn't do that. I have nothing to hide. I don't know why anybody would want to blackmail me and shifty eyes.
If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
This guy literally has the face of a snake, and I don't even know how the hell you do that, right? How do you actually look like a snake? Like your eyes are like on the side of your head, and you're kind of a pointy snout and like a slithering. I imagine his tongue comes out really weird.
Yeah. Are we talking about Wish.com, Alec Baldwin?
Yeah,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
just as devious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there's no
never
other
mind.
choice for a punchable face in this movie than Mr. Body, right?
Yeah, Lee Ving.
I hate his performance so much.
He's definitely not an actor.
He was the frontman of punk rock band
Fear, dude. Fuck yeah.
who I knew you would know. I don't know.
That's not even the last front person that we're gonna get in this movie.
But I just don't understand when you have this cast. Why him? Because he's not good. And I say this like people are like, well, why don't you try acting? The reason I'm saying this is because that's how I act. I am a terrible actor. And that would be how I would be in this movie. And so I can call out my own. Like, you're just not good, man.
He's one of those guys, like, if you've ever made anything and, like, tried to have someone who's, like, maybe you're, like, making, like, a documentary or, like, just a video on something. And the subject you're filming is, like, smiling the whole time because they're nervous to be on camera. That's what this guy looks like.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's like,
He does this weird, like, thing with his eyes where he keeps looking
Yes.
at everybody. And you're
like, certain times I can tell that it works because
when he's not talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah. And then other times, like, especially, like, when he jumps at, I forget who he jumps at, one of them. I think
Yeah.
Martin Mull.
Yeah.
Like, he does the eye thing to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of hits him. And
It's like that was their best take.
He
that
does-
they got,
yeah.
that they
They do
got
this-
out of him.
they do this
Yeah.
Three Stooges thing, and they're like, God, thank God this movie's campy because we're not going to be able to fix that.
I was
what he just
terrified.
did.
I was terrified, like, after this, too, when, because I hadn't seen it. I was terrified that, like, when the lights went out and, like, I heard a gunshot, I'm like, they didn't really kill Tim Curry, did they?
I know.
Like, I will leave this movie right now
Yeah.
if it's not leaving.
Well, before you even got to that, this was maybe the only issue that I saw with this movie in a filmmaking way, and I think it's because of Lee Ving. Is there's some dialogue, there's some audio issues when he gets up and tries to run to the door. They completely overdubbed him, which also I think they overdubbed Tim Curry at some point too, because Tim Curry says something and it's not Tim Curry. Like, you're watching him say, and you're like, that's not his voice.
Oh, man.
It's right when he's trying to get out of the door and they're trying to. It just feels like he fucked it up so bad that they had to just do the best they could with that scene.
Yeah.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, because it's weird. If you go back and listen to it, his audio isn't even syncing up, and that it's something about where he's like, you can't be leaving here, and he looks right at the camera, and it's a different voice.
It's a different
not
voice.
even Tim Curry.
See, like, thank gosh, like you said, I'm so glad he's the first one out. Because if we had to suffer through that, this movie would definitely not make it to a 7 on IMDb.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have worked.
No.
And maybe that was by design, but I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's
Because-
not well known where you have this, in the rest of this cast, of the main cast is well known.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, everyone is fairly well known at this point, right? I mean,
Maybe it is by design because the character's name is literally Mr. Body.
yeah.
He's a disposable character. He's the
Correct.
first one to go. Maybe
He's
like
leaving.
yeah.
It is a play. I mean, it is definitely a play on the game. You need to define where the dead body is.
Yeah,
Dead
Here he
body.
is.
There he is. Fantastic.
you still could have got like Michael J. Fox to play it.
Yeah.
like, whatever, I don't care. Oh, he was filming 5 other movies at the time. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I think you got if I'm going to blackmail you. Come on, Biff. Like,
Gee, I don't know, Boof.
man, I don't know, Boof.
Let Let's move this on to scene 2 here. So Mr. Body, in return, suggests they kill Wadsworth instead to avoid exposure and humiliation. Body is shot when the lights turn out. Later, the cook, Mrs. Ho, is found dead, stabbed with the dagger, and Mr. Body's body disappears, only to be rediscovered dead again, but with new injuries from a candlestick.
This is where we just get the unhinged back and forth of characters after Mr. Body is a body. And there's just so many quotable lines to me.
I don't even know them all. I want to watch this movie 500 more times to even catch some of them.
Dude, I gotta say, after this movie, I felt funnier.
Yeah.
I felt like I could take on the world after watching this, and it felt great. And I think it's just because the snappy dialogue and it's so smart. Trying to make me look stupid in front of these guests, you won't need help from me. He's like, that's right.
That's right.
Wait. Everyone's so good.
Is it sort of like they're all so self-important that none of them are hearing what the other person's saying?
Very true.
Is that kind of how that's working?
It's very much like American Psycho.
Yeah.
They're just all above having to care about anyone else in this room except for themselves. And
Yeah.
why do they care?
And you get that moment when they find the dead cook falls out of the freezer, and Michael McKean, everyone watches the body fall out into his arm. He goes, I didn't do it. It's we saw it. Okay, somebody help me, please.
Somebody help me, please.
And there is something special about this because really, what is there? 8? Mr. Body dies. We have 8 characters for the most part, right? Not including the people that show up. There's something special. What do you call that? Like an ensemble cast?
Casting.
There's something special about that where you're going to live and die on this. If you do not have the right people in place, this will not work because this is all we have. We have this house and these 8 people that need to carry us for another hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And they do.
They do a great job doing that. I mean, just having to interact with each other, even again, coming back and all right, everybody sit down. And Mr. Green is just trying to find a place to sit constantly. And everybody keeps sitting right in front of him. And then when he finally leans against that table, it eventually just breaks out from under him.
Off.
There's always a payoff at the end of every single one of these jokes, that they don't mind taking the time to plan out, It's really, really well done.
You know what a modern way they could have done this is they could have done 8 different cuts of this movie where it's each cut is following the one character around.
Oh, yeah.
Because when those scenes when there's 8 people in a scene and you're just looking at, if you could have a different experience looking at a different actor, kind of like how we said watch Dumb and Dumber but only watch Jim Carrey, and then watch it and only watch
Mrs. White or whoever.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
I was saying Jeff Bridges. I'm like, that's not Jeff Bridges.
That ain't him.
Jeff Daniels. Yeah, you could have a different experience. So that would be a really cool, if the same dialogue and movie happened, but the camera was on one character throughout.
Netflix is waiting to fucking pay for this because
Let's go.
That would be a great 8.
Yeah.
Right? 8 or 9 kind of episode event.
If you could get episode 1 is the start of it and the finish is just the first death.
Yeah.
Boom, you now have 8 more episodes at least to follow all those
Ryan
characters.
Johnson, get in there and do it.
Please and thank you.
Let's do it, man. And I was thinking about something that this movie does really good is kind of like the jump scares.
Sure.
It does it really effectively where you're going into this, what this movie's about. There's no hiding what this movie's about. Everyone knows. I went into it going, oh, okay, they're all going to go into the house and we're going to have to figure out who did it. And I hadn't even played the board game.
Right.
So you're expecting something, and they do these nice little jump scares, Mr. Body falling out of the bathroom door.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little jump scare moment where it's not over the ridiculous top like some kind of modern horror movies are, but it's just little effective boom.
I think you're right. It's definitely a pre-horror movie. It's it's a more or less a comedy horror movie. Or more a capitalized comedy and lowercase horror.
You almost feel like they could have gotten really gory and bloody with it and made it R.
Sure, yeah, and then they could even have more jokes on top of that.
Yeah.
I think that's funny shit. Seeing someone getting their head cut off in a funny way is fun.
It would have been really easy to make this a scary movie, but at no point did I think this is terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh no, too spooky. I'm not a big fan of this.
This is too spooky.
This is too spooky. I didn't feel that way at all during this whole thing though. I have a prop, by the way.
Oh, you
I
got a
have
prop
to
there?
hit this button.
Ooh, here's a prop.
I want the doorbell.
Oh,
That would be so
shit.
cool.
The pull chain doorbell.
Ding, ding.
I loved that.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you when you're not gonna love that is when like 9 p.m. Amazon guy shows up late on his delivery and drops a package off and wakes your baby up by ringing this giant bell.
Right. Well,
Maybe keep it till when he
Shoot.
gets older.
okay, yeah.
So keep it. Like
Yeah.
take it now,
Uh-huh.
but then just don't put it up yet.
Okay. Okay, I like that. I'm up for that.
What do you got,
Mike,
Shaun?
you go.
No, you go first, man.
No, you go.
You go first.
Because I don't have one, and I know you don't have one.
Okay, well, I have one.
Okay.
My prop, I want the decanter and the glass set that they have on set there.
Nice.
Okay.
And the reason I want that is because I want to put Cedar Ridge whiskey inside of it.
Oh, yes.
Because there is no better whiskey to drink when you're on a murder mystery tour. You're in a house, really opulent house. You got these really fancy people around you, and you need a drink. We need a drink.
Really need a drink.
We got to have a drink.
Yeah.
You put your Cedar Ridge, you get something fancy like their single barrel collections, you get their quintessential American single malt, you put it in the decanter, you put it in an ice glass, you serve it to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, let's figure out what happened here.
Why don't we just slow down,
Why don't we just
guys?
slow down and
Why don't we
talk
just
about
take it
this?
easy. Have a seat. Sip on some Cedar Ridge. Figure out who done it.
That's usually what I do.
Nice
Right?
casual time.
Just a nice casual
guys.
time. So you got to go to your local distributor. We talk about them every time we drink Cedar Ridge. It's what powers us through these episodes.
Indeed.
We think that if you're going to drink it responsibly, it's going to power you through your whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So you go check them out. You ask your local distributor for some Cedar Ridge whiskey, or you go online, cedarridgewhiskey.com, order it straight to your door in most states. There's going to be some cool. There may be some confused breakfast particular barrel collections coming out here
Who knows?
that you might be able to order straight to your door. So I'm just saying,
Who knows?
cedarridgewhiskey.com.
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 That's why I wanted you to do a prop first,
Yeah,
Shaun.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
Mrs. White's face cover thing.
It's just,
Oh, Shaun would look good in that.
he's not going to wear it on his face.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
keep mosquitoes away and stuff.
Oh, that's a good call.
yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Actually, that's very practical.
And keep the flies away.
Yeah.
Most vulnerable part about a man.
I did like that moment for Tim Curry, the butler or Mr. Body had just fallen out of the bathroom. He's like, I'm shouting. And he
Yes.
gets knocked in the head.
I also like that it's when they find the cook who's dead. It's like, let's pick up her body and put her into the other room. It's like, why? It's like, because I'm the butler. I like to keep the kitchen tidy. It's like, it's just all
subtle.
plenty of practical reasoning to just make jokes.
I
Yeah.
didn't even hear that line. Like, there's so many lines. I that's news to me that was a line.
It was
in the
like
movie.
there's somebody in like I think it's Mr. Body who's like changed positions or something because
Yeah.
he actually gets killed not from the gunshot. He's like, nobody can get in that position. Oh, sure they can. Let me show you.
Yeah.
Like
Christopher Lloyd. He's
Christopher
like,
Lloyd.
damn, dude.
Yeah, just flexes her up and over. You're just like, whoa, what the heck is going on here?
So, scene 3, a stranded motorist arrives and is locked in the lounge. Colonel Mustard proposes they split into pairs and search the house to make sure no one else is there. While they're searching, the motorist is killed with the wrench. A police officer investigating the motorist's abandoned car arrives and comes inside to use the phone.
Speaking of just like kind of throwaway jokes, I don't know why I found this so funny, but Colonel Mustard,
Which is funny in
Martin
itself.
Mull, he comes in after like I think the whole debacle with Mr. Body. And he's like, anybody else want a whiskey? He pours himself one. And then it cuts to another shot of him, and he's just like,
Dude. No, he goes,
don't know
he
why.
like nicely pours himself a glass. Does anyone else want something? He just goes,
it's like he's pouring shots for people at a bar. He's like, I don't know why I thought that was so fucking funny.
It was
and it doesn't need to be like that. Is not a thing that needs to be there.
No, not at all.
But is it hilarious? It's absolutely one of the funnier times I laughed in the movie.
I was just watching it before I got here. My fiance and I were like, why is that funny?
Why is that
I don't
funny?
understand why I'm laughing at this.
I love it.
There's other subtleties though too. Like they break up the matchsticks, right? And they have that scene where they all pick their matches, and it's kind of a long scene of silence. There's no music.
Yeah.
There's no talking. They're just going, oh, like they're comparing the matchsticks.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to them. They all drop their matches and leave. But Yvette's still
Still
holding
has the
her
long one.
She's holding her match.
And Christopher Lloyd's walking up to everyone. He's got this tiny one. He holds it up to her.
Just to see,
this
does it work?
difference.
No, shit, it doesn't work.
No, I guess it's just me and you.
She walks for like the next 10 minutes of the movie still holding
On to that thing.
And speaking of which, I generally don't like French accents sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like hers in this movie because she's faking this accent,
Yeah.
right? Is what we're learning, but that over the top. Isn't there the joke of the like, you need to use the bathroom? And you go, wee wee.
Yeah, wee.
No.
No, I just need to powder my nose.
Speaking of her, I do like the joke as well. He's like, I'm afraid of the dark. Will anyone go with me? I will. And then Michael McKean's like, I'm good.
I'm good. No thanks. So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because this is when I was thinking that we were just gonna basically just have these people in the movie, and now new people are starting to get introduced here, and I think it's adding a lot more of the misdirection, right? Because now we've got this motorist coming in. It creates this moment of like everybody in the house was all against each other, and now it's like them versus the outside world. All of a sudden, there's this weird shifting of power in how this movie's going. But yeah, this motorist, he comes in, he goes into the lounge. And they lock him in there.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed with the wrench, but he says something like, it keeps dropping those clues. He says like, it was my boss. I noticed, I recognized one of them, one of my old bosses.
boss.
Yeah, like I loved it. By this point in the movie, I am fully on board of like going, I have no clue. And I'm realizing that I haven't been paying attention. So I'm like, I don't know who did it, but I don't even care. Let's go.
It's exactly it. And I don't even know if you're supposed to. I don't even know if there is like a definitive answer.
I think the fact that they have 3 different endings to this is enough clue at the end, I guess, to say you can pay attention, you can pick it apart. It's not going to be like The Thing where you don't get an answer.
Yeah.
We gave you 3 answers, meaning it literally can be anyone.
Yeah.
And at the end, in one of those things, most of them are guilty, right? So it's fun to think about, but at the same time, it's not worth going back and like diving in and being like, oh no, it's definitely this person. Because if you recognize so-and-so wasn't there when they went into the other room, and then the other person who wasn't there when they were in the kitchen was this, it's like, don't even try.
Yeah.
You know, it's not worth your time. It's like somehow they created a movie that it's completely fine to follow along with this whodunit and not try to figure it out. In my mind.
I agree, especially like when they're splitting up, there's so many jokes in this as well where they're all, afraid of each other. Like trying not to put their backs towards one another at all, And then you got the maid and McKean. What's it? White?
McKean's green.
Green.
is
Yeah,
green.
that's right. The maid and Mr. Green both don't want to go up to the attic, and it cuts from them at like the bottom of the stairs wanting to go up, and then cuts to a different group, and then comes back to them.
And they're still there.
And they're still there, and then goes away again. It's like, God damn.
It's really, really smart. Like all those pieces. It's incredibly smart comedy, somewhat and sometimes presented in kind of a dumb way, but it works out just perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Even who was it? Miss Scarlet. Who was Miss Scarlet with? Or no, it was Miss White was with Colonel.
Colonel Mustard.
I don't remember who was there, but they were on maybe the second floor, and they did that move where they both walked into the room at the same time and then jumped back out.
Oh, that
and
was
looked at
Miss
each other.
White and Plum.
Okay, yeah. I those moments are cool because you think about going behind the scenes, how accurate, how many times they probably had to run that to go. Come on, we need you at the exact same time to land on your left foot, looking back towards the other person, and it's perfectly done.
I mean, like speaking of all of that too, like you gotta. Like Jonathan Lynn he's a stage director, and so it's kind of perfect for this. But he makes it cinematic. He doesn't just put a camera on an ensemble. He does like kind of push ins on one character and like comes out. But like to direct something like this, or like The Thing, or like The Hateful Eight, like you got this ensemble. Like we discussed, John Carpenter was afraid to shoot a scene where there was 8 people standing around talking. It's like, that's a nightmare, Where am I going to put the camera? How do I make this interesting? And I think he makes it not even just interesting, but he makes it fucking hilarious where he puts the camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This starts to show like the secret passageways. Was that ever a thing like as a kid where you wished you had secret passageways and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My cousin's house had a secret passageway.
No kidding.
They kill people and stuff?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't think so. I mean, they're not that I heard about, but it was nuts. They lived in this really old, like, true 3-story house. Like, the attic was a full story, and it was in St. Louis. And from the attic, you could go into a room that spiral staircased all the way down to the basement.
Holy shit.
That had on every floor, it had like you could see through like a grate into each room that it was going down through, and then came out. I don't know. I forget what the reasoning was. It might have been like a butler staircase or something.
Oh, sure.
Where there was just access to all the rooms without walking through the house.
Service staircase.
But there was no lights in there, so as kids we were in there just being like, oh. The only light was coming from the grates on each floor.
That's awesome.
It was creepy, dude. But it was I love the minute that I started thinking about secret passageways, I was like, that's cool.
That is super cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I loved that they put this in there because at first I was wondering if they were going to mention this, but then as the movie was going on, I completely forgot that they existed. In the board game because of the secret passageways, and then they did it, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I'm so glad they did this, like incorporated this in because." And then because obviously it adds so much to Tim Curry's performance later on in the movie, but yeah, I just thought it was a super cool thing to bring in.
Well, did you read that apparently the attention to detail was precise,
Yeah.
where the secret passages in the movie lead to the same rooms that they do in the board games, which I think is amazing that they even thought to make the layout of the house the exact same way as the board game.
Yeah, I think I love it. I wish they would come out with like another game, like another Clue game, like this, like this era that was like multiple stories of a house that you could for a board game.
Oh, true.
I would
That'd be
love
really
that
cool.
so much, man. It would be so much fun to play. It's almost frustrating because I'm frustrated with myself because there's like a point where you're like, man, they really do have a great attention to detail in this. It's like they're kind of living up to the game at this point, in my mind.
Yeah.
As the guy who was avoiding it this whole time. So
Wow.
oh wow, look at this. You know what? I should give them more credit. Those Parker brothers.
I'll give them a good rating on the podcast.
You know what? I'm going to go on IMDb. Tell people to watch this movie.
Yeah. Check this one out.
Hey, you know what?
It's pretty accurate to the game. But it is like a good on directing level too. Directing these actors, giving you a sense of space is hard to do. Like you really, yes, you are. If you have played the game, you are familiar with like the layout of the board game and where all the rooms are and everything. But like if you're just watching this and really haven't played the game, I know where the lounge is, or I know where the kitchen is. You know, whenever they go in there, I'm like, yeah, that's like
that's where they go,
yeah,
right there.
It's like to the left or right, you know, whatever. It's a good touch.
Well, let's move on to scene 4. So the guests resume their search of the mansion. The electricity is then turned off. Yvette, the cop, and a singing telegram girl are subsequently murdered.
Is this where they're like, this is the cop comes in, right? And
The cop came in the last scene, so he's there, yep.
They stage it where like they're making out with dead bodies.
Oh, my
Dude.
God.
It's so funny.
Whoa.
Morbidly funny as hell.
How if you want to make, oh man, you're trying to turn these deaths into something funny, and then this is a weird way to do it, man.
There's nothing going on here. These folks are just having a good time.
They're just having a good time. This is America.
man. I did like that turn. I really like that cop.
He's really good.
I don't know. Was he ever any? Did you recognize him from anything?
Maybe vaguely.
I didn't pull him
somewhere.
from anything. I just thought it was really funny, and that's certainly not where, seeing this for the first time, I thought they were going to take it. Let's be real.
Like tries to keep the cook's eyes open as he's making out with her.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's too much. Like, and this also speaks to it as well that they've been searching the house now for how long, you know, for at least a decent amount of time, and you should probably be bored by now. You know, like you should probably be bored to some degree that like, okay, yeah, we're just running over the same old things.
Didn't find anything.
And we haven't found anything. We're not figuring anything else out. We're just figuring out like more little reasons to blame somebody else, but for some reason you're just still engaged.
Yeah, I think it might be like the Trey Parker kind of thing where it's, maybe not his thing, but the thing he follows where it's like this happens, but this happens.
But this happens.
But the cop comes in and like someone kills him. It keeps adding problem after problem.
Yeah.
And to do that, you keep the story interesting,
I like that Mr. Green was just basically ready to just give it all up. At that point he's just like, no, come on in. Yes, you should. You can definitely use the phone. It's like
That was cool.
he's just ready to give up. He's just like, please, for the love of God, like just come into this house, cop. Please come in. I want you here, and you need to figure this all out now.
So let me ask you this: so of the 8 main characters, we're not including Mr. Body here because he's not a real actor,
Right? He's just a body.
8 main characters. 7 of them were either nominated for an Oscar or an Emmy in their career. 7 out of 8 of them. Do you know who the one who did not have an Oscar or an Emmy nomination was? Out of all of those 8 main characters,
Is it Martin Mull?
Martin Mull did.
Wow.
Michael McKean?
He did too, of course.
Wait, I'm gonna go. Was it Tim Curry?
No,
I was gonna say.
Tim Curry had a
thank
Emmy. I
goodness.
think he won an Emmy. Maybe.
Okay.
too.
I would have burned something down.
I know.
Oh, I don't
We
know.
already took Mr. Body out of the equation here.
I know Mrs. Peacock. She's been
Yep.
nominated for Academy Award. I think.
Man,
The maid.
Colleen Camp.
Yeah.
Colleen Camp.
She didn't win anything for Wayne's World or
Oh,
this.
dang.
She may have won some different awards.
You don't
but
say.
Not an Oscar.
She
or
got an
Emmy.
award on this podcast.
She sure did. We gave you number one rack in any movie of all time, non-nipple.
Yeah, and Mike
specifically.
Mike liked your French accent though. I think you're just living out his fantasy, one of his fantasies, but that's fine.
Yeah.
My wife said the same thing. She's like,
Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
I'm like, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do you want to watch it again?
Yes, I do. Should we rewind when she's dancing alone?
or I mean, they were pretty precise. In fact, the electricity goes out, and she comes down the steps, and just the lighting. They had like these like moonlight coming through windows, sort of on her, so where she'd be in the dark, and then she'd come through a pocket of light and into the dark again, and the light was always just right at her chest. That's just all it was. You knew who it was.
I think this is a moment that I laughed out loud, basically by myself. I'm pretty sure I startled my napping son because I cackled a little bit when they're going through and these deaths happen, because they happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like the cop, who gets it first? Yvette.
Yvette, then
Strangled.
the cop. Well, the motorist, the cop.
Yep.
The motorist, Yvette, the cop,
cop.
and then the telegram.
And
girl.
then just random out of the blue is just this door opens and it's like, hey, it's me with your singing telegram. Shuts door.
I am your singing telegram.
It took me by complete surprise.
I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm sure everybody wants to do with a singing telegram.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's like, I don't want to deal with this right now. And the fact that they just open the door, give her one line, shoot her, and then close the door again is amazing to me. I love it.
It's our second weirdly like musician front woman in this movie is Jane Wideland from the Go-Go's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Who also her second appearance on the show.
Really?
Anybody? This is Jane Wideland's second acting spot on a movie we've done.
What?
She was Joan of Arc in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, wow.
Remember?
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, just these weird little roles.
Wow.
Yeah, she's just like, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
She's a better actress than Lee Ving.
Oh,
Leaving.
100%. I'm glad he left.
But-
Who's better at acting dead? I don't know.
I don't know, yeah. But this is kind of interesting. You're talking about all these deaths just happened now. They're not even shocked anymore.
No. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes.
It's so great how it's just like, oh, whatever.
We're like,
They
oh,
walk
no,
in
we're good.
on a
It's-
vet.
We're good. There's still three dead bodies in there.
Yeah. They walk into an event and just go.
They walk in. They're just like, yeah. I guess I'm not even surprised anymore. And then they go, and the cop said, they're like, okay.
I'm assuming that's probably, I guess, how it would be if you were actually in this situation. Just be like,
Put them with the others.
put them with the others.
There's also another subtle line, and I don't even know who says it. I think I think it's after they discover the singing telegram girl dead on the porch, and somebody just says, "Wow, this is really getting serious."
Now it's getting serious.
It's like it's serious after the first one.
It was serious before you guys even came to the house. There's serious accusations on everyone.
It's really getting serious.
Well, what do you say we do last scene?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So last scene, Wadsworth thinks he knows who the killer is and recreates the events of the night. We are shown 3 different endings in the theatrical release.
This is just incredible.
I have to say, first and foremost, I don't know if it's lazy just adding to the campiness or whatever it is, but they basically come away from the door after they've stacked the bodies. Hilarious to me. That's just like a term, body stacking. Hey,
Drowning pool.
Stack the bodies in the lounge or whatever it is. But he comes through and he says, the gun's gone. I know who did it. It's just like
That was the final clue he needed.
that's it. That's all he needed.
The gun's gone. Now I know who did it.
Now I know. So that's it.
This is just a powerhouse performance at this point.
Yeah.
And seems exhausting. Like even just watching it seems exhausting from an actor standpoint, seems exhausting from his character standpoint. This is just such a treat.
Oh, it is.
Good. We don't see performers like this anymore in movies.
Do you talk about Tim Curry and this being his favorite thing? It's the most Tim Curry thing I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just is what he is meant to do, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like 30 minutes almost. Like we're still maybe 20 to 30 minutes from the end of this movie because he's going to recreate the whole movie up to our slice point of where all the different endings happen.
Right.
But there was something that I noticed on my last watch that I'm wondering if our audience out there, I know maybe you guys maybe didn't notice this, but I'm wondering if any longtime Clue fans ever noticed this. But the lights go out again. He's recreating. He's like the butler, Mr. Body gets shot, and he turns the lights off. And then remember, the lights go back on, and he's on the floor, and everybody thinks he's dead.
Yeah, yeah.
When the lights turn back on, who's Doc Brown's character?
Mr. Plum?
Mr.
Professor Plum?
Yeah, I wanted to call him Doc Brown. Professor Plum, the lights turn back on. He's got red lipstick on, like smeared red lipstick over his mouth.
Oh, okay.
Which means the lights went out and he just grabbed a woman and started making out with her.
Good Lord.
And I think it was Peacock because Peacock's like in the background with him.
Oh.
And she has red lipstick on.
Okay.
It's like subtle because right away it kind of cuts to him and you can see this like red lipstick all over him.
It makes me, that's the kind of stuff that makes me wonder if they shot more endings.
There was one other one that they shot and didn't include.
Is that
I know
right?
that.
Do you remember what it was?
I think it was Mr. Butler killed all of them.
Wait, hold on. I do have that one. It said Wadsworth committed all the murders out of a twisted need for perfection in his life. He reveals that he poisoned everyone with a slow-acting toxin in their drinks. It ended with Wadsworth being killed by dogs as he attempted to escape by car from the house. And they said the grim nature of the ending is probably why they never released it. But I'm guessing they shot it.
I think they did shoot it, yeah.
Oh, man. Tim Curry can be the nicest person and great hero, like of figuring this all out and the whodunit vibe of, he works for J. Edgar Hoover or something. But then his face can literally mold and twist into a supervillain.
Yeah.
It's too good. It's too good.
Well,
I just love it so much.
Through this whole thing, too, where he's explaining all of this, and they just have callbacks to other jokes, such as, like, to make a long story short, too late.
Too late.
Like, it's so good. Like,
get on with it!
Yeah. Like, because it's ridiculous that he's doing this so fast, but they're also peppering in jokes as well.
Yeah.
And then Madeline, I think the only, like, improvised scene in this movie is Madeline Kahn doing I just hate her so much.
The flames
on my face,
and your face, and the sides, and the face, and you just when you feel. And anyways,
he straight interrupts her, which is like what I was thinking. I was like, "What is that? What is she talking about?" And anyway, and they just did that feel out of place, or did you like that?
I loved that.
I love that they just took a moment to break it up, though,
because it was going and then all of a sudden it's like the flames and the
I hated it so much.
So
I
good.
felt like, and then the flames on my face, the side of my face,
and they
and
keep
the flames,
showing everyone else going,
and then
what? Well, okay, so let me ask you before we finish this, what was your favorite ending then? Because let's recap them. The first one was because remember, if in case we didn't talk, we talked about that where each theater you didn't know what ending you were get. So they planned on the whole recreation of Tim Curry up until a slice point. The evangelists show up at the house, door closes, and then there were 3 different endings. So number 1, the first ending was Yvette murdered the cook and Mr. Body under orders from Miss Scarlet for who she used to work with. So this is the Miss Scarlet,
right,
where she kills everyone.
And it's the 1 + 1.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, 1 + 1 + 2 +
1 + 2 + 2 + 1.
Shut up!
There are no more bullets in that gun. Frankly, Miss Scarlet, I don't give a damn.
Yes.
And then ending number 2 was Mrs. Peacock.
Yep.
Did all the murders.
And that was supposed to be actually more dark too, because like when she was going outside to her car, the chief was like supposed to like shoot her because she was like literally a murderer. And then like as everyone else came out, the chief like turned around and like started like shooting her again. And like just like unloading
weird.
his
And
gun
then that
into
was
her.
the freeze frame or something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
like that. We're a little too dark. We're not gonna put that in the movie.
And then the third ending is the one where pretty much everybody had involvement in it. I mean, what was your if this did not exist and there was just a ending to the movie to make it great, which one is it?
I love the everyone did it ending, and especially because Michael McKean, I think, has the best.
Is that the best way to end?
The best ending line to a movie I have ever seen. Take him away, Chief. I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
This like shake, rattle, and roll starts playing.
Because he's like he puts himself as gay in the movie.
Yeah.
Like he's
and
just,
being 1950s culture is like, I can't let them know I'm gay any longer.
Sleep with my wife.
Yeah.
I just think it was so fucking funny.
Okay, I'm fully with you, but I want somehow ending C to also somehow include the weird freeze frame with Martin Mull going like when the chandelier falls. Like, dude, I hate freeze frames, but I don't. If that movie had ended right there, I would have been like, yes. So if you can somehow put that in there,
Okay.
like, okay, ready. Michael McKean goes, I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife, and then gun goes off, chandelier falls, and he goes, like that's my ending right there.
The way that it would have to end for me is yes. Unfortunately, with Wadsworth being a bad guy and all that, and putting it all together, and everybody dispersing the blame of everybody being involved except for Mr. Green, right? I do, for some odd reason, I also really, I think the worst ending is technically Miss Peacock's, because if they would end that on, oh, you did us all a huge favor, for she's a jolly good fellow,
They're like harmonizing in the background,
and then she shuts the door, and they just like stop. They're just like, oh.
It's kind of genius, but I don't want the ending to move.
No.
And like Madeline Kahn's like an actual good singer. So she's like really stand out in that too.
Yes. So I would say probably the Miss Scarlet one is my favorite, but it would have to end in option 3.
Yeah.
Like everybody did it. Yeah. I don't know. What about you? Did you even mention?
I did. Yes.
Okay, good.
I said 3 combined with Martin Mull.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. The Martin Mull.
Anything else?
That's it.
So to make a long story short,
Too late.
Too late.
we are going to give us our modern day ratings. We've dissected this movie. We're going to start with AJ. I want to know your modern day rating after watching this for the first time.
I had a shocking and surprising
Whoa.
good time watching this movie. I have to say it's probably mostly just because of Tim Curry. I'm a huge Tim Curry fan. I really, really enjoyed his performance. I think it just motors this story along. It buzzes by very quickly. It's a whodunit, but you don't have to work hard at it, because in the end, it could be any one of these 3 options. Maybe another option, And I think it was oddly dark and campy but fun at the same time. It didn't scare me out of it or anything. The cast and the way it goes, like the dialogue, the speed there, it's a lot of fun. And I think it would be fun to have this playing in the background of you trying to do your own dinner party kind of a vibe, Do I think it's an amazing movie? No, but I have to give credit where credit's due of how clever it is and how well it is put together. And for that, I am going to give this a 7.05.
7 points. So you're saying slightly better than a 7. So
Yep.
it's a good movie.
Yep.
Shaun, what about you, man?
All sentiments I reflect of AJ just said. Tim Curry's amazing, but I really think the whole cast, like, it's definitely Tim Curry's movie because he's just, you can't, it's undeniable. But everyone else is as equally undeniable. Like everybody, even the cop is great. Like cop adds so much, you know. I don't know. It's Singing Telegram. Why even have that? But it's so good.
Why even do that? It's great.
I think
so
it's a great script. I think it's a really fun. Like I said, I'm a sucker for these whodunit things. The confined story in the house, almost haunted house on Haunted Hill vibes. This is definitely an October movie for me. Probably
so,
now. And then I think it's really well directed for being a first-time filmmaker. And this is a solid 8. I will watch this anytime, anywhere.
Shaun, I'm going to beat you on that. I'm going to call it an 8.1.
Nice.
Wow.
I am embarrassed that I have not seen this movie.
Yeah.
I feel whatever you listening out there yelled at us when you found out we didn't have it, like, well deserved.
Yep.
I feel so dumb that I have not seen this, and this has been the first time in a long time where I've put on a movie and been like, fuck, it's over?
I know.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again. And I think rewatchability is not everything for me, but it's part of it, and this is immediately a forever rewatchable movie. I can't wait to learn more of the lines. I want to listen to it deeper. I've been trying to compare movies to old ratings I've done. To me, this reminded me a lot of Raising Arizona.
Okay.
In just the
very kinetic.
Yeah, kinetic and then.
Yeah.
And so I gave Raising Arizona an 8.1, so I am going to give this the same rating. David Gould, executive producer, he said, "I'm so thankful I was able to revisit this film. Over the years, I've grown into this style of humor and love for many of the film's actors. This movie's still chaotic, and for me, the ending falls apart as they try to remain authentic to the ideals of the original board games, but it is still a good time. Seeing everyone take the absurdity seriously was fun and inspired me to binge all my favorite films, whether Back to the Future, A Mighty Wind, Rocky Horror, or Young Frankenstein.
Damn.
As a movie, Clue is good, but not great. It's funny, but not hilarious. It has a good premise, but only partially delivers a dark noir tone. But I don't care. I loved revisiting it and most likely will again. So as a married dad with an iPad in his office, I will give this movie a 6.28.
Nice.
So as a group, that is a 7.36 for this movie, which is going to take us, let's see what our modern day rate is. 7.36, is that what I said?
Yeah.
7.36 is going to take us tied with Just Friends at number 44.
Wow. You're welcome.
Tied with Just Friends. And it should be noted, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is just above that. And then Hocus Pocus just below that.
Oh, wow.
Is where that falls into that middle.
I'd like to see that as more of a 7.5, but I'm okay with it.
Well,
right
you
there.
know, there's been some angry people online saying, you can't let your executive producers get your ratings.
Oh, okay.
So we will forever allow those ratings in there, but just pretending that David's didn't count. That is a 7.72, which takes that up to just below Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, just above Holy Grail.
Okay.
I would be fine with that.
But I'm sorry, we are not allowed to do that.
That's fine.
You know, we will when the day will come when we go back to revisit a few of our ratings and make a few changes. It will have to reflect that on our own. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, that's
So,
all right.
So David, you're fired.
Yeah, sorry, David.
Just joking.
Sorry.
Do not take your hate out on David. He is a good
absolutely
man.
not.
You
And
bet.
thorough.
And thorough.
Well,
Fine young man.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for being here. Tune in next week. We got Saving Private Ryan. It's going to get deep.
Oof.
It's not
From
going to
a
be slapstick.
Fun, stupid, silly whodunit to a we know who did it.
Yes.
And we're going to get them.
Then we are bringing back a bonus episode. We're bringing back the I've Never Seen series. Shaun has chosen Cobra, and Mike and AJ have never seen it. So
Yeah, buddy.
we are gonna drop in some Cobra knowledge on you.
Dude, look at the poster and tell me what you think.
We will be leaving voicemails about that. If you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year, The Shining.
The Shining?
Come on, look at this shit. Come on, get on it.
It's a great episode. I feel like we did some pretty good justice on that one.
Mike, you're going to have to revisit it. I want to see what you think nowadays.
Why?
Well, because I want to see, we're going to revisit our ratings. You know, I want to, that's the one I implore you to rewatch. Because you said you feel, in the episode, you said you feel like you need to rewatch it.
Okay, hold on. So let's just take a quick look at it. Shaun was a 10.
Yep.
AJ was an 8.4. I was a 7.2. Okay. So I think I was just like, you know what? I would like to dive in a little deeper, I think is what I said.
I think you're going to go up 0.4.
0.4. Okay,
Wow,
7.6.
okay. All right.
Well, don't forget, we also have a voicemail. Call us at 319-804-9596. Leave us some feedback like today's caller.
Hey, this is Haley. I just started listening to your podcast. My dad recommended it over Christmas, and it's all I've been listening to since then. I listen to it, you know, heading to work, coming home from work, and literally, like, in my AirPod all day at work. I am 22, so it's a little embarrassing to say, you know, my dad raised me on all these movies, but I haven't seen all of them, so I'm trying to get through them. And I'm just going through what I've seen, and I'll work on what I haven't seen eventually. But going through the list, I am in utter shock that you have not done a never-ending story.
Ooh.
That is the only movie that when I think of growing up, watching these nostalgic movies, the Never-Ending Story is it. And then I remember y'all mentioned watching Stranger Things at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
That had such a huge influence on it. How have y'all not done that? I'm waiting for that episode. When you do it, I will be the first one to listen. Let me know. Love the podcast. Shout out to my dad for giving it to me. Peace out.
Shout out to your dad, Haley. Yeah. A Never-Ending Story? Holy shit, why have we not done that?
Yeah.
You know why we haven't done that? Because there's a million good movies in the world, and like it's going to take us forever to get to all these.
It's very true. It's very true.
Because the minute you say never-ending story, then you're leaving out Pulp Fiction.
You know what, though?
Or whatever.
You
Like,
have-
what? Like, I don't know.
You have to throw out those titles because now I'm thinking about it, and now I really want to watch it.
If
You
you're-
know?
If you're gonna throw out Never-Ending Story, then what about, you know, Look Who's Talking?
Yeah. Shit.
So-
Now I want to do that.
What about, what about that?
No, Haley, that is 100% accurate. I can't believe we haven't done it yet. Oh, what about that?
What about Big Bird?
And shout out to your dad. And you know what? If that's what we've done is allowed more folks around your age to start enjoying these movies and hang out, watch them more, then mission
kids.
accomplished.
Young kids.
Young
That's
kids.
the way
Young
I was.
whippersnappers.
That's the way I was. I wasn't necessarily like around when a lot of the 80s movies came out, obviously, but I was shown them by my parents.
Exactly. That's just how this continues on. So we really do appreciate you calling in and doing that. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. And while you do that, write the review too, because we really love reading them. Look for Confused Breakfast on anywhere for social media. Check us out on YouTube because you can see us on YouTube now with our smiling faces. Anywhere, Confused Breakfast.
Go to confusedbreakfast.com and grab some of our merch. Get our shirts on your bodies. Get a Damn Dang It shirt. Get a logo shirt on your body.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll look great on you.
Yeah.
And also, why don't you go to our same damn website and look at our ratings. See where this fell in our individual ratings. See where it fell in our collective ratings along with our executive producers.
Go buy all the stuff you can from our great sponsors. They're hooking up with deals. Check us out at patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. That's how you directly support us. Join in on the movie votes. Get all your extra bonus episodes. This show's produced by LAS Media Group, soon to be rebanded in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Aggro Craig on the
Aggro
controls.
Aggro.
And we are now proudly a part of the Cloud 10 iHeart Podcast Network. And some big things coming on that. So check them out if you want more info. Cloud10.fm.
Make a long story short, let's end this thing.
Too late.
Get on with it!
Thanks, guys.